the whole idea of keeping bees, I guess, isn't really that true, because you're only following what they're doing. They do their own thing when they want it. It's got to be done. So as keepers of bees, we're just really just running around them, making sure that their every needs are attended to. Yeah, they're in control of us, definitely. My name's Roger Payne, and I'm one of the directors of Payne's Southdown Bee Farms. Payne's Bee Farm has been in my family for over 90 years and was started by my grandfather in 1922. We are based in Hassocks, which is just outside of Brighton, which is a seaside resort on the southeast of England. Quite a small little village, but we're quite lucky because we have a wide variety of crops and garden flowers around us, which is a huge benefit to our bees and our beehives when we're collecting the nectar from them. The whole bee farm is placed what used to be old stables to a much larger house further up the road. And it was something which my grandfather bought years ago, and we've managed to maintain most of the business there. As the business has grown, it has got to the stage where it's certainly been utilised for space, but we always feel that it would be a shame to lose that space because it's such a nice little place to work. I think all of us there who work there are not the sort of people who would work in an office. We prefer sort of the outside environment and sort of having that quaint little sort of stable yard makes it such a much more interesting place to work, I think. A lot of the beekeeping is outside work anyway. A lot of the hives are off-site, all spread across the South Downs, out in the countryside, out in the woods or in the fields, which again is another great place to be working. There's about 55,000 beekeepers in the UK. That has grown quite a lot over the last couple of years, which is great to see. It's always nice to see sort of new blood coming into the hobby. Most beekeepers are not on a commercial basis. They keep literally 2 or 3 hives, and most of them won't be doing it for the honey. It's more for the love of the bees, and that's really something you've got to have if you are going to be a beekeeper. It's the love of the bees, because it can be hard work, so you've got to love them to better, sacrifice a lot for them. The bees will go to the flowers to collect the nectar from them, and as they do that, they will also pick up pollen from the flowers. The nectar they collect back, they take to the hive, and through a matter of extracting the water content from the nectar, that turns it into the honey, which we all like to have on our toast. The other side which they collect is also pollen from the flowers, and that's the other big part of the bees' diet. The nectar, or the honey, is their carbohydrates of their diet, and then the pollen is their protein. So by using those 2 items, they get everything that they need in their diet. They say that every 3rd spoonful that you eat is actually directly or indirectly due to the honeybees pollinating the crops or the flowers. Well, a lot of the techniques that we use for the actual beekeeping hasn't actually changed that much since my grandfather started it. It's still the same tools, and the techniques that we use is what he used way back then.
Okay, making up a wooden frame to go in the beehives. It's a shallow frame, just knocks and pins together. one shallow frame all made up ready.
There are some newer methods that we now use for doing the actual jarring of the honey. We've got an automatic filling machine and automatic labeler, and that just helps the whole process speed up and actually makes it more hygienic. There's less contact between human hands and the actual final product itself. The honey products that we do, we deliver to about 800 shops all across the southeast of England. And that's a great thing about this job, is that you actually see the product from first development in the hive. You're watching the bees collect the nectar, and you can get to see it go through the whole bottling process, the jarring it up, and then you get to deliver it to all the shops and seeing it go out to all your customers. And that's another great feeling, seeing the whole process from start to finish. There's lots of different aspects to beekeeping. It's not just collecting honey, it's learning about the flowers that they've been to, the pollens that they're collecting, and learning how such a small creature can affect the environment. Yeah, there you go. This one's a little bit bigger with a few more bees. The queen's main purpose is to lay the eggs. She's the egg layer of it. But in a lot of ways, it's the workers which dictate how the queen works in the hive. The more that they feed her, the more eggs that she'll lay. So it's the workers which decide how many eggs she should be laying, and how much of a workforce they need to expand, when to expand, and it's all down to the workers and what they see coming into the hive. So without the workers, the queen will die. Without the queen, the workers will die. So having a group, if you like, with no actual head at the table is something which I think humans could learn a lot from. Myself, my brother, both my parents, my uncle and my sister are all involved in the business. But in some ways we've got other staff now who have joined us over the past few years, and in some ways, because I think there's so many family members involved in the business, even they feel like just like an extended family to us. We're all so sort of close that it has become, yeah, just one big giant family, really. My parents are both over 60, and I don't think they're going to be retiring anytime soon. So yeah, I think it's a family trait that once you're a beekeeper, you're always a beekeeper, and you just keep on going. Yeah.
Now I says, fair maid, where are you a-going?
Every time you go out there and open up a hive and look in it, you still learn something new from the bees. They still show you something different. And that's what makes it fun.
As any lady, if you will grant me one small relief. Stand up, thou false deceiver.